In the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, the crisis which is still raging on. We will also talk about the revelation made in Yaoundé recently by the Minister of Mines, Industry and Technological Development of the intention of that ministry to foster development in the country, and this will be done through the revenue that the ministry will collect from the industry or the said sector in Cameroon, as there has been an improvement in the revenue collected so far, as the minister did point out in Yaoundé during a meeting that was meant to present the report for 2021 when it comes to the mining sector in the country. Stay with us, televiewers. Let's have the major headlines in the French language newspapers gathered for us by Etape Quentin. Bonjour Etape et bienvenue.
Bonjour Lasha présidentielle 2025. Eh bien, les mots qui se trouvent au niveau des aéroports du pays, Energy of Cameroon, grande criminalité, tels sont les sujets abordés par les journaux en kiosque ce matin. Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour à tous et à toutes et bienvenue dans votre programme débrief, édition de ce premier jour de la semaine, lundi, eh bien, 18 septembre 2023 sur ma Média Prime Télévision. Merci de nous choisir pour vous informer. En tout cas, démarrons très rapidement avec le journal Le Zénith. Le journal Le Zénith arrivé à notre rédaction ce matin. Le journal Le Zénith, titre grande criminalité. Eh bien, à la une, le journal nous informe ce matin qu'un ancien commandant de brigade de Côte d'Ombo est sur la sellette sous le feu roulant de dénonciation de trafic de drogue et de bien d'autres actes d'une extrême gravité. Serge Nkoulou aurait, selon certaines sources, décidé de porter plainte contre l'honorable Roger Nkodondang pour diffamation. En tout cas, pour plus d'éclairage sur ce sujet, je vous invite à découvrir l'enquête de cette parution en kiosque ce jour. Poursuivons avec le journal L'Essor qui parle de la gestion des aéroports au Cameroun. À la une supérieure, le tabloïd nous fait savoir qu'ils vont très mal. Plus loin, dans les pages 6 et 7, l'on peut comprendre que lors des pluies diluviennes, les souris, les cafards, les fuites d'eau sont les mots qui donnent un visage pathétique à la plupart des aéroports de notre cher et beau pays. Eh bien, au journal Nouvel Horizon de renchérir pour continuer. Inondation, aéroport de Douala, voyageurs et bagages trempés dans l'eau. C'est d'ailleurs ce que nous propose ce numéro en kiosque ce matin. Selon nos confrères, la bâche utilisée comme protection sur le toit du bâtiment a lâché, laissant ainsi le rôle à découvert et à la merci des intempéries. Voyageurs et bagages mouillés. Plusieurs expriment leur mécontentement face à ce manquement qui vient s'ajouter aux autres. Les ADC sont donc de nouveau indexés. Le manque de connexion Internet et le problème de la climatisation se dégagent au sein de l'institution. Parlons à présent d'Eneo avec le journal Méo Messala qui nous éclaire que Paul Biya active la nationalisation d'énergie of Cameroon. Eh bien, de la page 6 à 7, l'on peut lire les diligences se rapportant au processus de rachat par l'État des actions d'Artis SPH au sein de l'énergéticienne sont placées sous la conduite d'un comité interministériel présidé par le ministre des Finances, Louis-Paul Montazé. Le transfert de cette entité sur secteur privé au secteur public permettra au chef de l'État, son Excellence Paul Biya, d'intervenir directement dans le fonctionnement de l'économie. Et puis terminons en politique avec bien évidemment le journal Expression politique qui évoque bien sûr en grand titre présidentiel 2025, le RDPC prépare la succession de Paul Biya, une interrogation rhétorique d'ailleurs. D'après les écrits de la page 3 de cette livraison, le parti du flambeau ardent l'a tenu de tournée régionale du secrétaire général du comité central et des séminaires de formation dès le 21 septembre prochain à Yaoundé, selon une note du secrétaire de la communication Jacques Tamnjong. Voilà, c'est tout pour la lecture des unes en langue française. Merci d'avoir écouté. Place actuellement à la découverte des autres tabloïds avec toi, Lasha. Juste après, ce sera le décryptage avec notre invité. Une fois de plus, bonjour.
Thank you, Etape Quentin. Good morning once again, televiewers on my Media Prime Television. Thank you for staying with us. Let's kickstart the exercise this morning with the National Bilingual Daily Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune this morning is focusing on the report I just told you about. We are talking about the Ministry of Mines, Industry and Technological Development that has presented a report in Yaoundé concerning what the mining sector or the ministry brought to Cameroon in 2021. We'll come back to Cameroon Tribune, but in the meantime, let's take the Guardian Post newspaper. The Guardian Post newspaper this morning is focusing on a letter that was written by Biak Bank governor to the Ministry of Finance of the country, raising question of the investment climate in the country. Dampolo MTN affair, Biak governor's letter to Minfi sparks controversy, writes the Guardian Post newspaper. There has been yet another twist in the saga pitting Cameroonian billionaire business mogul El Haji Baba Amadou Dampolo through his Bestiva company, South Africa Limited, and the South African National or First National Bank FNB, which has now roped in MTN Cameroon and Chokokan SA following the freezing of the accounts of MTN Cameroon, MTN Mobile Money, and Chokokam. The governor of the Bank of Central African States, Biak, Abbas Mahamat Toli, has written to the Minister of Finance, Louis Paul Mutazi, raising serious concerns as to the investment climate in Cameroon. Read the full details on page 3 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. The Guardian Post is also focusing on a building that collapsed in Douala recently. Many narrowly escaped death in another building collapse in Douala. The paper tells us that several persons are reported to have narrowly escaped death following the collapse of a building or another story building in Douala. The incident reportedly occurred in the early hours of Saturday, September 16, in the Nyala Prizo or Nyala Parizo neighborhood in the Douala 3 subdivision. The full details of that incident are found on page 2 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. Extractive industries, Professor Fu Kalistus assures in contribution to national development. The interim minister of Mines, Industries and Technological Development, Professor Fu Kalistus Gentry, has assured Cameroonians of a boost in revenues from the extractive industries. We are told by the said newspaper that the sector to drive national development. The minister Fu Kalistus made the assertion during the presentation of the 2021 Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative Countries Report in Yaoundé. That was on Friday, September 15. It was revealed during the meeting that the government of the Republic of Cameroon, through the said ministry, has raised a 776 billion francs CFA as revenue compared to what was raised the previous years. We are told the revenue has increased from 776 billion francs CFA, has increased rather from 663 billion to 776 billion francs CFA in 2021, a sharp increase, and this has been attributed to the rigor in that sector and of course what the ministry is doing to ensure that illegal mining companies conform with the rules and regulation in force. See, in this edition of the said newspaper, let's talk about this headline. This headline that has to do with journalists who are undergoing training in from 14 African countries. They are sharpening their skills in Egypt when it comes to some ethics and deontology of that profession. We now take you to Municipal Updates. Municipal Updates newspaper is also interested in the honors paid Dr. Charles Mignonli for exemplary life impact. State honors Dr. Charles Mignonli. We're told by the said newspaper he was buried in the southwest region of the country. That was over the weekend in a ceremony that saw the presence of local administrative as well as traditional authorities in that part of the country. We end with the media. The media newspaper is focusing on what is happening at the level of the magistracy in Cameroon. Stalled promotions, transfers, turmoil in Cameroon magistracy, writes the media newspaper. Reports say magistrates in Cameroon are in a turmoil because there have been no advancements in grade or transfers since 3 years running. Jeune Afrique attempted an explanation to the said incident, or what the newspaper terms paralysis, in a recent report that was published by the Paris-based newspaper. The details are found on page 2 of this edition of the media newspaper. Let's take you to Yaoundé to talk about military training. EMIA graduates 39th batch. Defense Minister Joseph Beti Asomo, on behalf of President Paul Biya, presided over the graduation ceremony on Friday in Yaoundé. Thank you so much, televiewers of My Media Prime, for listening to the major headlines being read to you. We are back as usual to continue with our discussions in the studio. And of course, we are receiving Amadou Tarnteh, who is the executive director of Conscience Africaine, an NGO operating in the littoral and northwest regions of Cameroon. Amadou Tarnteh, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha. Good morning to My Media Prime Television. I don't know if we'll come back to our phone crisis as usual, because I have something important. Message I thought I could.
Of course, we'll come back to that.
Well, maybe I'll keep my message for
no, we'll come back to that. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
So, how is the human rights situation in Cameroon?
Well, let me say the situation remains very tense as well. We have noticed, but you can bear with me that all recent we have so many abuses that have been perpetrated by the separatist fighters on civilians, especially for alleging that they have violated the imposed lockdown that was imposed by the separatists on their own part. My message this morning was particularly to the local administrators in the northwest and southwest region, because I've reliably informed that some of the administrators on the ground are insisting that children must wear uniform before they go to school. That if they don't wear uniform, means that they are paying allegiance to the separatists, and in that case they will not go to school. Because I don't see anything wrong with these children if they are saying that they don't wear uniform. The problem here is that there's a problem. We are all aware that there's an ongoing problem in this region, and if the government wants these people to wear their uniform normally and go to school, the government will make sure that they solve the problem, rather than for administrators to be intimidating the children that they must wear uniform before they go to school.
Wearing what kind of uniform to go to what school? Because most of the government schools in those interior and other parts that some pockets of resistances are still noticed. They don't allow children, they don't even allow the operation of primary school, of government schools. The case of Bello, where 2 head teachers were slaughtered for just attending a preparatory meeting for back to school. So absolutely. Which schools are they talking about for the children to put on?
It is very clear that the separatists made it on their own part, said that they want only private school, mission schools, and community schools to go on in this region. That they don't want these children to go to government school. And this is because there's a problem. Because it hadn't been there were no problem as such, I don't think there would be some anybody anywhere.
So they're insisting now that the uniforms should be worn to go to those missions and and private schools, or I don't get it.
Yeah, of course, that's what these administrators are saying, that these people should go to school. They must go to school, be it the government school or private school, whichever school they are attending. They have to put on their uniform. That going without the uniform is a proof that they are allegiance. They are accepting what separatists are saying, or they are paying allegiance to the separatists. Which is, those are the problem that we often face when such a situation is down. Because when there's a situation as such ongoing, they often say that the civilians that will pay the highest price of all what is happening. And all these things, when they will start dragging now. The separatists say that you don't have to wear uniform. The government on the outside part are saying that you have to wear uniform. And remember last time in Well, the children went to school. I think it was last year. They brought Tamnjong and other military vehicles and went to the private school where the children went to attend class. They were carrying them from those private school to go and keep them at the government GHS and stuff. So when the children went to private school, the government went with the military went with their vehicles and were transporting these people back from those private school back to government school. So these things are all made dramas. We know all what is happening. At least it's a place of the government to do everything possible to end the crisis. If this crisis ends today, we'll rest assured that these children will go to school normally. All what is happening on the ground is good. There's a problem, and when there's a problem, acknowledge that there's a problem and look for possible ways of resolving this problem, rather than martyring civilians. All these things, we see that they declare lockdown, they declare this, and at the end we see that civilians are killed and all the like. And those are the vulnerable people when the other people are holding guns on their hand, but the vulnerable people, who are obviously the civilians, are the one paying the highest price. People are dying. Every kind of things is happening. The other day, the route at Bamali was we say water swept away the bridge, and the AZO came here and was claiming that the man who is doing the bridge, he paid money to separatists, and all these things happened, all this one happened, and all those type of complaint will not take us anywhere. At least they should tell the truth, tell the government the truth, what is happening on the ground, because they made us understood that the situation was under control, that things had returned back to normal. But unfortunately, the recent happening has proven them wrong. Even in the southwest region, in Buya and Kumbawe, for some time now, places have been very silent. What has happened there has proven them wrong. That all what the noise they were making were only to continue gain their power within the rank of the government. At least the government, they should tell the government the truth so that the government can see a way of resolving problems rather than disturbing the civilians on the ground. Because when they will start now dragging as such, very soon tomorrow we hear that the military has gone there and asked students that they must weigh in from, and the separatists have come there and said that they will not weigh in from. At the end, I realize that at the end you hear that the school was burned down, or a student or a child was or people was killed in school. I will be very shameful for this for our country. At least we want everything to go on normal. Everybody, we are all advocating for back to school. We want these children to go to school. We don't even care whether they put on uniform or not. We want these children to go to school and learn as like others. There are other peers in the francophone part of the country, and this school they can go on now and do it. And especially as the separatists accepted that at least they should go to school, even though given their condition. At least that's the first step. That's the first way forward. Where initially they never even accepted that they should even go to school at all. But if by now they have accepted that, the government should see how they can do, because whatsoever is happening, whether it's all the civilians who are killed and all, it's the responsibility of the government of Cameroon, because it is the place of the government of Cameroon to make sure that they guarantee the protection of children, whether in during political instability or during a conflict like what is going on in the northern and southern region, or when there is no problem in the country. It's left on the government of Cameroon, who have signed both national and international laws to guarantee that the protection of civilians in all circumstances. So the government must ensure that the children go to school protected. And I believe that the best way of doing this thing is by doing everything possible to end the war first. Because if the war doesn't come to an end, at least the situation will remain very complicated on the ground.
Okay, remain very complicated. We are back in Douala, Amadou Tarnteh, to talk about another building that has collapsed at the level of Nyala Parizo, a neighborhood in Douala 3 subdivision. And this is coming after what happened at the level of Mobi Guinness, still here in Douala. Yeah. And that prompted President Paul Biya to give certain instructions to his close collaborators of the regions. And apparently nothing is being done as regards that.
We are facing, I realize that we are failing in this country. Our leaders are failing us, first of all, because we have a reactive leader, not proactive. So I believe that the best leader is also very reactive.
No, when you say reactive, something happened. The president has instructed that, some committees be created. And I think it was through the prime minister. Councils were instructed to set up committees where they will move around and identify buildings that are not habitable, buildings that are dangerous to the citizens. Of course. Those that will be demolished. They were supposed to be demolished, and those that do not respect the construction norms, they stop the said construction of such kind of building. But we are talking about like 2 or 3 months after that incident, another incident is happening in Nyala. But luckily enough, nobody died.
That's what I'm saying, that we are talking here about a fair leadership in Cameroon, simply because we have a reactive leader. They have to wait for something to happen. Why was President Preble supposed to face? Normally, was he supposed to face or wait for a building to collapse before he starts thinking that normally we have council authorities?
What they are saying is that you expect President Pobia to leave Unity Palace and come and tell probably the mayor or the governor of Littoral Region, the mayor of Douala 5, for example, to check what is happening in his municipality.
That's a shameful thing that, for example, we are accepted, because we are all aware that when any administrator, even at local level, for that village, even in Babisi, my own village in Babawa, when an administrator want to take a decision, he's telling you that it's on the instruction of his excellency President Pobia. So just to tell that, it means that it's President Pobia that will give them all the instruction. Had it been maybe President Pobia did not ask them to go and investigate, or this council authority or local authorities like
it's a slogan that people hide behind.
No, it was a slogan. The president says he seems to have the power to tell them to stop such slogan, to tell them that he is the president of the republic, and they too, when they are appointed at a particular position, they are autonomous. They have the right to do their to execute their own duty by their own self, because he has given them that power and given them the rule to play. So they go about and play their role. We don't have to wait for things to happen before they start telling us that they should go and look into this thing, go and look into this thing. So it's a normal thing that they will fail, because we are in a country when
we are blaming everything is
the president, because the president they have made us understand that everything we are doing in this country is on instruction of his excellency President Pobia. So you cannot even talk on your own self. You are given that opportunity that you are the governor of a region. You go there and ask as a region or a governor with that power bestowed on you by the president of the republic. Act as a governor, and when you are whatsoever you are doing as a governor. You are not doing on instruction of his excellency Pobia, because Pobia has appointed you to go there and represent him. You are representing the country at the regional level. So you take all this one that is taken are supposed to take at that level. So these things we have to wait for things to happen, because they start telling us that they should do this, go and do that. Why must they wait for people to die before we can start thinking of such thing? We have council and these local authorities that are normally supposed to give building permit to people, and are supposed to not only give the permit, check how the building are constructed, and so they equally have to go around these municipalities to be checking these houses to see whether most of these things are within the norms. Because they told us that even the council, these houses, they pay taxes. They're supposed to pay taxes to the government and all the like of the council. So we only want to take money, we don't want to check if those living in those houses are secured or not.
D'accord. Lasha, il faut rappeler que sur ce sujet, le gouverneur de la région du littoral a dit dans une interview accordée dans un média local, oui, que le fait qu'il n'y ait pas eu de mort dans ce phénomène, dans cet écroulement survenu à Niala, Pariso, c'était justement parce que après les instructions du chef de l'État, suite à l'hécatombe qui a eu lieu de l'autre côté de Mobile Guinness,
il a instruit que les gens évacuent.
Alors il a donné des instructions à ses collaborateurs d'évacuer les habitants de cet immeuble-là très rapidement, immeuble qui avait été soupçonné de danger. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle il n'y a pas eu
Amadou, Tarnteh, answer.
He's trying to defend himself.
How true are these
social hierarchy?
Assertion of the governor? Is it really true that the governor instructed the people to evacuate the building?
Well, for now, I cannot say. If we have to carry out investigation, we can only carry out investigation on this issue to be so sure what the governor is saying. So, because normally the governor is supposed to
the building dragged another building beside, another neighboring building.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, we had two buildings that collapsed there.
So this goes the same thing I was saying and in the Anglo-Country. When this local administrator a lot of things are happening, but they want to hide the government. That's why when I went to another locality in the Northwest region, even the CEO of that area was trying to chase me, because he knew very well that I came to take the raw information from the ground and go with it. So when he realized that I've taken the information, he was trying to chase me from there, because that's what they are doing. They want to hide the real truth. They don't want what is happening to the people, or to sell their own image, to tell their leaders that they are doing perfectly well, so that they will keep appointing them or giving them other nominations. So we are working for Cameroon. We are Cameroonians, and we should have that feelings of Cameroonians, have that empathy for Cameroonians, work for Cameroonians. We should not go to satisfy an individual, we work to satisfy the entire nation.
Okay, work to satisfy the entire nation. Let's talk about this issue of Baba Dampolo, the saga, Bestiva between MTN Cameroon, and of course we are told that bank accounts of MTN Cameroon were freezed on instruction of a judge at the Douala Court of First Instance. That the lawyers they tabled the complaint there. At the end of the day, we are reading again that there is this controversy when it comes to the letter that was addressed to the Minister of Finance of the country by Biak Governor. The letter has sparked controversy. Of course, the letter did indicate that the investment climate in Cameroon is not favorable, and this has sparked a lot of controversy, simply because somebody is trying to play down on what Baba Dampolo wants.
Because the issue of Baba Dampolo, since I don't have much information about it, it's something very complicated. I don't understand. Because what I was meant to understand is that Baba Dampolo sue MTN Cameroon simply because it's
assets were taken away in South Africa.
So I don't know I don't know. I don't understand the kind of law they are trying to apply. Because if in South Africa your assets are seized there, first thing we know find out what reason you say that he borrowed money or however whatever he did with the money. It's sure that it was his engagement. Or did he respect his engagement? Normally that's how it's supposed to be. I don't know. But even if he did not respect his engagement, I don't think he has the right to come here and sue MTN that he want to seize the account of MTN simply because his own account or his asset were seized in the other country. So if that's I don't know understand how such things are happening, but at least even if judges are acting,
no, but he was using MTN as the last resort probably. Since MTN is a South African based company,
if that's the last
also has stakes.
If you think that's the last resort, and what is doing, it end up creating a lot of problems, diplomatic problems between Cameroon and South Africa. What other Cameroonian big investors who are in South Africa?
What is one now is 500 billion compared to 250 billion that was taken away from him in South Africa. I mean, he wants times two.
No, the problem is that if he has right, he has right to his own property. If there's anything,
but the judge has already ruled.
The judge has ruled wrongfully. That's why we have to call our appeal. I have the Supreme Court, and even this is something that concerns business. We have to go up to Abidjan and Cote d'Ivoire to go and follow up some of these cases, so that we will not only end at the level of Cameroon because they have a long way to go. The problem is that the judge, while passes judgment to base as usual on the law and his conscience, he's not think that because Baba Dampolo is a Cameroonian, they should favor him because he's a Cameroonian. That's the worst thing. If that's what they are doing, it means it's very wrong. At least they should follow the law and know actually if what Baba Dampolo is asking them to do is the right thing or it's the wrong thing. We should not do it because we think that
it's a landed judge that
no, most of them sometimes they ask other influence. We have very landed judges, but all the judges here in Cameroon, they are landed, are very mature and educated people who have gone through all the kind of law and they know the truth, but they are being manipulated. That's where the point is the problem, because most of them are being manipulated.
So you want that the asset of your compatriot be taken away.
That's why people are saying that we should protect our own local investor or Baba Dampolo, who is a Cameroonian, as employed someone Cameroon. That is true. We have to protect him on the right thing. We don't protect somebody on the wrong track. If he's on the wrong track, we don't have to protect him. But if he's following the right track, at least Cameroonians should mobilize, do everything possible to protect Baba Dampolo. But if it's proven that Baba Dampolo is on the right track, on the wrong track here, then I don't see any reason why we don't protect illegality. We protect somebody who is on the right track and doing the right thing at the right time. So that's my own opinion on that. But if it's only the judges, what the judges are acting, they're acting on based on the facts that I've given to them, and which is a very clear facts with evidence that Baba Dampolo has the right as per whatsoever law they are following to seize the assets of MTN. Then there's no problem. But if it is because South Africa, MTN is a South African, is owned by a South African, and he has a problem in South Africa, they want to seize the property of South Africa in Cameroon because they have seized his own property. They mean that one is the wrong thing and something that I know that will definitely end up sparking a lot of diplomatic problem between Cameroon and South Africa. And other Cameroonian investors who are in South Africa, they mean that they are in danger. You know, we know South Africa and with their xenophobic thing. So they can start that such thing and begin to target. There are so many other Cameroonian billionaires who have invested very well in South Africa. So if that's what they are doing, I'm afraid that it will end up causing a lot of problems to Cameroonians over there.
Okay.
Ok, Lasha, Kinshili, on va poursuivre avec d'autres sujets brûlants de l'actualité. Eh bien, selon le journal L'Essor et le journal Nouvelle Expression, les aéroports internationaux du Cameroun vont très mal, entre autres les cafards, voilà, les fuites d'eau, les souris pendant les périodes diluviennes, le manque de connexion dans les infrastructures, et bien le problème de la climatisation. Tels sont les mots qui s'observent dans ces infrastructures aéroportuaires du Cameroun. Eh bien, Monsieur Amadou Tarnteh, de votre analyse, pourquoi est-ce que les aéroports internationaux du Cameroun accusent ces manquements?
Well, I don't know because Cameroon here we know very well that we have always had a problem with infrastructure, and if you want to verify things very well, you realize that even the porous nature of this infrastructure, like a place like an international airport, just a last place where we have a place where we have all kind of people who are coming from all different parts of the world who have to come and land there and all that, and they will see and know how Cameroon is faring. So most of them realize that there's a problem in Cameroon, problem of bad governance. Bad governance in the sense that most of it, you want to check things very well, realize that most of these things you see, dilapidated building and all the kind of things you see that happening in such areas, you realize that the money was already allocated from the hierarchy. Money was already allocated for those projects to be executed, to be done. But at the end, you realize that this project was not done. So only because of this bad governance and lack of a real monitoring scheme. At least when they saw a project awarded to people or the contract awarded, the government need to send orders, just some special people or spies that who are supposed to go about and monitor these things to make sure that this project is executed. Because we have a lot of money in Cameroon. There's no problem. I don't think the problem in Cameroon is the problem of money. We have money, a lot of money. Even from that same airport, they are paying a lot of tax money to the government. Those money are supposed to be used first of all to rehabilitate this airport, to make sure the airport is of good standard, so that we can continue to collect the money, the taxes that is coming from the area. But if of course we are not able to rehabilitate such things, it means that we are selling a very bad image of Cameroon, because somebody who is coming to Cameroon must pass first of all through this airport. Once they land at that airport and just see the nature of the airport, it will be a very shameful thing. We are in a very, very rich country. Cameroon is very rich of natural resources. We have a lot of money here, but those at the end, this money are not used normally as it's supposed to be used. This money end up be going to private pockets rather than doing a better infrastructure that Cameroonians can benefit on it. So I think it's the praise of the president, president of the republic, and even his other close collaborators to make sure that they monitor sort of this situation. When a contract is awarded to somebody, they make sure that they closely follow up the contract, keep a follow-up committee, that they will people that are very, very, very genuine, people that will do the right work that are supposed to do. Not those type of people that when we go to the field, they will see a wrong work, take their bribe and leave. Meanwhile, at the end, the thing with Cameroonians who are going to be suffering, because the thing will the building will collapse and people will die, or the place will not be of standards. Yeah, so or even other local countries, other African countries just around us, you go to such places, you see the places like airport, they are not to be talked about. We have better airports, and we are in a very big country. Cameroon is one of a very big country here in Africa, not only in Central and West Africa, but here in Africa in general. So we are supposed to at least make all such things to be of standard, or not at international, national, at international level.
Alors, quelle image ces manquements projettent à l'extérieur vis-à-vis des étrangers?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, this one is giving a very bad image of Cameroon, because somebody who's coming to Cameroon, first of all, as I said, will first of all pass through the airport. You pass through the airport first, and once you pass through the airport, you see the situation in there. In fact, I will tell you that Cameroon is not faring well, because for us from the airport, if you cannot make your airport of standard, then they will think that it is not other infrastructure in Cameroon that will be of standard. So those kind of things is giving a very bad image of our country to the international community. At least that's why we keep saying that the government, these people should make sure that they do everything possible to make sure that some of these things are made of standard, so that we have the to be made at a level, at standard, international standard, so that somebody who is coming to Cameroon, a stranger who is coming to Cameroon, once the person arrive at the Cameroon and any of this international airport in Cameroon, the person will know that we are here for Cameroon, is for the leadership in Cameroon, or what the people in Cameroon are. They are taking very good care of Cameroon, and because of the infrastructures or the climate. Because sometimes when you leave just the airport, you leave the airport and you're going to other places, you see the nature of the road is something very, very shameful and regrettable. I don't know if the president himself, most of the time they tell us that he's going to the airport to travel. If he pass through that same route, or he fly on air.
That's his own route.
Oh, well, maybe they have a special route for him.
No, but the Simale International Airport route is not that.
It's just of recent that is not the route. It's just of recent that is not the route.
Make it simple.
So it's just of recent that the route, the state route was that. Just something that are supposed to be supposed to be priority. So there are some certain things in the country that are supposed to be as priority. Because a place like an airport, we all know very well that a lot of money, tax money, is coming from the airport. So we are supposed to use that money first of all to develop that airport first, before we take the other part of the money and go for other things that has to help the country.
Okay. Alors, Lasha, si tu permets toujours, on va prendre la grande une du journal Meo Messala qui nous informe que le président de la République active la nationalisation des néos, voilà, visiblement pour apporter des solutions auxquelles font face les Camerounais, les coupures intempestives, ce qui freine l'économie. Eh bien, monsieur Amadou Tarnteh, quel est votre regard par rapport à cette information? Eh bien, le basculement d'Energy of Cameroon dans le secteur public permettra ainsi au chef de l'État, son Excellence Paul Biya, voilà, d'intervenir directement dans le fonctionnement de l'économie du pays.
Well, I think that's a good news for us Cameroonians, because when these institutions or such are, which is something a necessity for Cameroonian, is managed by Cameroonian themselves. At least when everything is done by Cameroonian, it's owned by Cameroon. At least the good news. But the question now is, are we going to be up to standard? Because if we think that even the international partners that were working with them are not able to be on standard, this is Cameroonian will be on standard. We know the case of what is happening at Cameco. I know that even the Noel itself was privatized because they knew that Cameroon, the government was unable to meet up to the demands of electricity by Cameroon. They try to privatize this thing so they had to have a share with the other partners. And these people have not been, who have been working in collaboration, they have not been able to meet up with this standard. But I doubt whether it's the government of Cameroon that is going to meet up. Because we know the case of other parastatals in Cameroon, like case of Kameko, what has happened to Kameko. So this kind of thing, I think that they need to take the reason very well before they take this decision, because I'm afraid that because of the management or the bad governance or the way I see these people managing some of our structures here in Cameroon, I doubt whether that one is going to be an exception. Because if they don't take a very reasonable decision, if they don't think about it well and ensure that they'll have better directors who are going to manage these things independently well. In fact, I will be surprised to hear that at the end, the problem with electricity in Cameroon will exaggerate. In fact, it will not only be at the level at which we are now, but it will go far to a level where we'll have 1 week, 2 weeks without electricity. So I'm really afraid of this decision taken by the President of the Republic, because we all know how institutions here are managed in Cameroon. Because most of it, I realize that people spend their time on traveling to white man land to go and enjoy themselves. They don't take time in working, actually in doing the work that they are supposed to do. It's even to an extent, most of them are work under influence. Sometimes these people are really given the position to work on, but just the fact that they don't make them to be that independent. There is always control, as what they used to say, that instruction from the head of state. Sometimes you have a good vision for that, for the structure that you are managing, but those type of things, that instruction from the head of state or instruction from the head of state, it will make you to be unable to run a structure. At the end, you will not be able to meet up to the standard, meet up what the Cameroon are demanding. But they will be accusing you of bad governance and all that. Meanwhile, the problem is because of the hierarchy. Because sometimes we will give somebody, say this person is the director of this institution. The person will give you the institution with all the power that's surrounding that institution, so that the person will manage the thing independently, use his experience or whatsoever knowledge he has with regards to the sector, and manage the thing on his own way, so that we'll have the result. But when you give somebody, that's why we say that when you give somebody a good, make sure I give the good and allow the rope so the person will go, rather than giving the person the good and still holding the rope. So you keep on making things very difficult. That's why I think most of these things, especially in Cameroon here, we are not able to manage them. Sometimes you go and give money to somebody somewhere to make sure that you are promoted to the higher place. And when you are promoted to that place, you don't take time to work very well, because you know that even if you work or you don't work well, you can still give bribe so that you can be promoted. So at least we want government to make sure that they appoint very experienced people on a particular field, so that and give them such opportunity to be able to show that their skill in wherever they are appointed, so that we'll have good results. Cameroon will enjoy the output of whatsoever is happening. So if the government has, that's what the government think, if they think that they can do better, at least it will be fine thing for us Cameroonians, so that maybe the prices and other things, I think that they will not exaggerate the price of all such things and all that. But the problem is that we will have reliable electricity supply in Cameroon, so that Cameroon will assure that we will have electricity regularly. If the government can do that, that will be excellent.
Est-ce que la nationalisation des néos, qu'est-ce que ça va apporter aux Camerounais? Quel sera le changement?
No, I think that first thing we always think about finance. The first thing that we think about financially, I think we are giving a lot of money that was going out of the country to the international partner. The money will remain here in Cameroon. But the problem is that considering the prices of these things, so I doubt whether I think that at the level of international, the other partner who are international partners, with them, I think the prices were affordable to Cameroonians. But with our people, we all know them. At the end, we realize that we were paying electricity at a very exorbitant price compared to the price we used to pay before. And at the end, the problem, sometimes our problem is not even because we pay exorbitant price, but the problem is that is the money we are paying well managed to make sure that we have this electricity regularly. If we pay that high amount of money and at the end we have a steady supply of electricity, then there's no problem. So if the government can do that and do it very well, then there's no problem. We're very happy to see that these structures are managed by Cameroonians, and all the money are left here in Cameroon, but people don't carry out this money and go to other foreign countries to go and develop maybe their own country too as well.
Est-ce que le Cameroun a les capacités?
Yes, the Cameroon has the capacity to manage this electricity, manage NEO. We've had in the past, we've had failures in the past.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, because I believe that after the how do they call financial crisis at the end of the 90s and all these things are new and all they privatize these things simply because they were unable. They said that they were unable to manage. Is it
because of the bad managers that we have? Is it because of the financial crisis?
Normally, I think they claimed that it was because of financial crisis. Well, I know that the bad management, bad governance, or the bad managers we have should be part of the problem. As I said here, not really bad managers, because I said here that sometimes you have very good managers. They are given the position, but they are not given that independent to work there, or that autonomy to work, to apply their skills and work to make sure that Cameroon have that output. They are being controlled. So I doubt whether Cameroon is going to be able to meet up with this standard. But I know that concerning finance, I know that there's no problem with finance. At least the Cameroon can always, as they are doing, borrow money from their international partners and make sure that they finance these things. But the problem is the management. If this thing is going to manage normally, because I am doubting, because I have seen other infrastructure, other parastatals within the country, or how it's being managed, poorly managed. And at the end, we see they keep changing managers. After 3 months, 6 months, they change the manager, the director, change and bring another one. It's still continues like that. We have other competent ones, like the case of Zacchaeus Fujita, who was at the Douala airport and ship Chantier Naval here, who managed Cameroon very well. At the end, he was sent to prison. And since then, we have to keep changing manager every day, and nothing positive is coming from that institution again.
Okay, nothing is coming. It's always the case. But we hope, like you rightly said, things. Let's talk about the mining sector, where the the interim minister of Mines, Industry and Technological Development, Professor Fu Kalisu, has revealed that there has been an increase in the revenue collected from the sector from 500 billion right up to 700 billion. And he said this money is going to be channeled towards the development of the country.
Of course, that's the kind of thing we are praying. At least if that's what has happened, then it's a good news. At least we should have to congratulate Dr. Flu Kalitus for what he has done. Because that
was a 2021 report. But the question now is, will the transparency when it comes to the management of the 776 billion being shown to Cameroonians? That's what Cameroonians are asking, because telling us the money has increased and putting the money to the developmental projects that he talked about is another issue.
Yeah, that is true, because most of them, we know that most of these institutions, they have a lot of money there, but the problem is always the management of the money. So we don't even know how these monies are. The money are managed by these people. So if what he's saying is true, the money is going to manage judiciously to help Cameroonians to grow, develop the country, then it's a good news. At least that's the kind of management we are praying in Cameroon. That's the kind of thing we want in Cameroon. We want people to give us, our leaders to give us better results, give better output that will end up benefiting the country. So that's what we want. I think if that's what has been done, and that's what will be done, then it will be a good news for us in Cameroon.
Okay.
Alors, Lasha, on va parler un peu de politique. C'est vrai que M. Tarnteh n'est pas politicien, mais accordons-nous aujourd'hui d'apporter une analyse sur les questions de la politique. Le journal Expression Politique nous fait savoir aujourd'hui que le RDPC entend organiser la tenue de tournée régionale du secrétaire général du comité central et des séminaires de formation dès le 21 septembre prochain à Yaoundé. Eh bien, est-ce que ce sera le moment pour le parti de la Flamme Ardente de préparer la succession de son Excellence Paul Biya pour le compte de la présidentielle 2025?
Well, I'll first start off by saying that it's a good initiative by the party leaders, because it's something very important. I don't know, because in Cameroon here, we have to realize that it's very difficult to see people who are in the political party. They don't even know. There are so many people who are within most of these political parties. They don't even know their role. They don't know normally what the political party is all about. They don't know how it's supposed to function, how things are supposed to be. But if they can always make sure that they organize seminars as such to train these people, to make them know what politics is all about, how they are supposed to manage, how when you are a member of a party, this is how you are supposed to function, this is how things are supposed to be. Most of them don't. I know that most Cameroonians who belong to this political party are not even aware of their rights or their limitations or their responsibilities in this party. At least concerning what you are saying, if that's, we cannot say whether they are making the meeting to prepare for the succession of for President Paul Biya's succession, or for President Paul Biya to be re-elected, or to be who can go in for 2025 election and still be elected. But that is their own problem. What we want is that I think that if we can make that mistake again and President Paul Biya maintain himself there, or he is the one to choose who will succeed him, that's the biggest mistake that Cameroon will end up suffering for quite a long time. At least as I have continued to say here, that we want someone else. For President Paul Biya has done his own best. It's true that he has his own limitations, or he has done his own best to do what positive things as well as not negative things. There's no perfect leader, so everybody has his own limitations. So President Paul Biya has done his own best. That's why I've been saying here on several instances that at least it's good that we allow President Paul Biya to go and rest. Once you have the case, they can give another person's candidate can stand in for their own party, and President Paul Biya to go and rest. He too have the right to rest. I don't know why he's still being held hostage by some of these close collaborators who are using things, which to the best of my knowledge are using President Paul Biya to maintain their position, their status quo, because they know that if President Paul Biya is no longer there, it will not be possible for them to do that. At least President Paul Biya is a citizen, a Cameroonian citizen like other citizens, and has the right to rest. He has the right to go and rest like any other citizen. It's a right to him. At least dying in power is not the right thing. At least President Paul to give the right. Democratic state maintain the same person. It's true that he claimed to be elected all the time, but if
when you say claim, is he the one that declares himself?
We have a lot of irregularities.
He does not declare himself.
When the election result come out, we have a lot of irregularities, like fake people who are coming from Transparency International who are coming for Cameroon to come and monitor election. Fake people who do not.
Is it President Paul who imported them?
No, President Paul has somebody who is representing him on that instance. So in the middle of the transition, it was the one that is doing all those things. So they know very well that what they are doing. So it's normal for us to assume that the result was not fair because you cannot bring people who are not for people who don't have anything to do with Transparency International. We said go and monitor election and they go and stand on the state media and to talk how the election was fair, conducted fairly, and everything went on perfectly. At the end, we realized that they were not even members of Transparency International. So it's really a shameful thing. These our leaders have done so many kind of foreign things in Cameroon. This Cameroon is they have humiliated this country in so many ways. At least when they are electing somebody, they do the right thing that's supposed to be done. Do the right thing that's supposed to be done so that we can have a leader that is chosen by all Cameroonians so that we can know that is our leader. And that's the reason why I said here that most often when somebody is elected, freely elected, the person will have power to be able to do some certain things. It's true that at the end when they will take an oath, we don't have any choice than to succumb to whatsoever he's saying. But when the president is well, actually elected by the majority of the people, and even the way the president is working, he went to work to satisfy the people, the local, work for the social well-being of those citizens in the country. But when he's not elected, he will do anything he likes because he knows that the next time he will still be elected in the same way. He will still use the same strategy he used to be elected, to follow himself wherever he is to do it. But when you know that you are elected by the population, by the citizens, you are truly elected by them, you will do everything possible to satisfy them so that at the end they will know that they will still elect you again. So in this situation, we all know that President Paul doesn't even have time for Cameroonians. He doesn't even do anything to make sure to care about the social well-being of Cameroonians. We have teachers here who are working, suffering every day to work for the interest of the country, but they go about striking every day, crying like beggars that President Paul has to do this every year. They keep assuring us that these teachers their dues will be paid, but up to now we see our teachers doing such things. It's very shameful. At least you are the leader. You work for the interest of the Cameroonians. These are people who have signed a contract with the government, and the government have ensured that the government is supposed to make sure it should respect all its engagement with these teachers, pay their dues, make Cameroonians make sure that they find more other opportunities to create employment to Cameroonians, so that Cameroonians can at least enjoy know that they are in Cameroon and enjoy whatsoever going on in
Cameroon. We are still having another problem. This one now concerns the magistracy in Cameroon, where magistrates or reports have it that magistrates have gone for 3 years without any advancement in their grade. People have been working for the past 3 years, they remain in the same grade. Some of them have not been transferred to other areas where they are supposed to be as per the text or the law. And this has been going on for the past 3 years. Jeune Afrique, a newspaper that is based in France, just reported on the issue. The magistrates in Cameroon are told they have been going for 3 years without any advancements in grades and of course transfer.
Mr. Lasha, this goes with the same thing I was saying here, that one of the
we are talking about the magistracy.
Yes, that's why I was saying here that one of the biggest problem we have here is the President Paul himself. I said here,
so how is President Paul? No, explain to Cameroonians, because I don't understand. Because whenever something comes up, you say President Paul Biya.
Yes, I want to explain why. Because I'm saying that President Paul Biya is holding all the power. We are talking about the separation of power. That's why for power to check power, there need to be separation of power. President Paul Biya is supposed to be head of the executive. Not head of the judiciary, head of everything. President Paul is the head of everything. He's the head of the judiciary, the magistracy, higher judicial council. This institution they call the higher judicial council. President Paul is the head of that institution. He must be there at the table when they will sit. After some time, they don't have a specific number of period where they have to sit. Most of them they sit after 4 or 5 years. And after that 4 or 5 years, if you are coming out from Inam or magistracy, section of magistracy, you have to wait until when that higher judicial council will sit. When they will sit now, they'll send other magistrates to retirement. They will increase the rank of order. They will just take those that are outside and bring them in.
It's because the higher magistrate has not made for the past 3 years.
It's a normal thing. That's what they have been doing all the time. Because it's President Paul Biya, the head of the judicial council, the high judicial council, or the head of that, whatsoever they call this thing, must be there on that table for them to sit down and decide. To study those files so that they can decide. So that's why they have given everything to the president. But that's why we are failing.
Where's the constitution? Don't say they have given. The constitution.
The problem is that there's no separation of power. What a situation where the power, one separation of power.
Is President Amadou, is President Paul Biya the one who voted for the constitution? No.
Whatsoever I found the Cameroon constitution is
He's just a president. That's incarnating.
The constitution says that President Bobia will be in power for life. That's the constitution we are talking about here.
But is he the one that made the constitution?
He's the one that decided on everything. That's how it's supposed to be done. All what's supposed to be done is the constitution. President Bobia that changes the
constitution. That's the 1996 constitution, not President Bobia. Accuse our parliamentarians. Accuse our parliamentarians.
No, those parliamentarians those are just puppets. They are just boy as we call it in the local language. So they are the one. Whatsoever decision they are taking there is President Bobia is telling them how they are supposed to do it. So well, you cannot imagine that we have people who are come out from Inam. But magistrate, they have been in the house for 3-4 years. They are not doing anything, waiting for when the president, high judicial council will meet, so that they will decide now and send other people on retirement, advance orders so that they can send and then send them to their own position where they have to work. Is it normal? Is it not normal? So at least when there's separation of power, all these other institutions will have to control their own power. Within the judiciary, they work there to see how their own things are going. The other side, they see how their own things are going. The other way, in fact, there will be power can only check power when there's separation of power. When there's no separation of power, there will be abuse of power. Like now that they are abusing power, people are suffering. There are people that were supposed to be promoted, people that were supposed to be promoted to the other places, and all that they have not done anything. And so it's a very funny thing. At least
the bottom line is that you blame President Bobia on everything.
Yeah, he on the instruction of a head of state as usual. So that's why we have to blame him on everything.
No, but you should at least give him credit for what he has done done for Cameroon.
No, at least he have done some good things as well as bad things. I said here that there are limitations for everything. President have done his own best. That's why I was saying that he's go and rest and give chance.
He deserves retirement.
It's right. He has the right to retirement, the right to rest like any other Cameroonian.
Okay, thank you, Etape Kante, for coming. Thank you, Amadou Tarnteh. Thank you to televiewers of Media Prime for taking our time to watch this very first edition of The Brief, brought to you live on My Media Prime Television with the technical assistance of Christain Tebong. I have been Lasha Kingsley and Etape Quentin for the presentation. Wishing you a great week ahead. Bye-bye from this end.